Stop scrolling. If you drive in the UK, even once a week, 2026 could cost you your license, your money, or both, and most drivers have no idea what's coming. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact changes that are already happening right now, the ones kicking in over the next few months, and the ones that will hit later in 2026, including new fines, new camera tech, changes that affect your car, your driving test, your fuel costs, and even how many drinks you can legally have. Miss one of these, and you could be paying for it without even realizing why. Stay with me until the end, because one of these changes catches out more drivers than anything else, and it's already happening on UK roads. And before we go any further, if you drive in the UK, this channel is for you. I break down driving law changes, fines, cameras, tests, taxes, and new rules in plain English, without the boring jargon or scare tactics, just the stuff you actually need to know to stay legal and protect your license. I'm uploading more videos on this exact topic, including updates as these rules roll out, hidden details most people miss, and how to avoid getting caught out. So if you don't want to be blindsided by new driving laws, hit subscribe now. Think of this channel as your early warning system for UK drivers. Subscribe once, and you stay ahead of the rules every time you get behind the wheel. Let's start with the thing that is probably the biggest deal for everyday drivers, and that is the crackdown on seatbelts. Now look, most of us wear our seatbelts already. It is just second nature at this point. But here is the thing. The UK government is about to make the punishment for not wearing one a whole lot more serious. Right now, if you get caught without your seatbelt on, you get hit with a fine. That fine can be up to £500, which is already pretty painful. But under the new road safety strategy being introduced in 2026, the government is adding something that stings even more: penalty points on your driving license. We are talking 3 points on your license just for not buckling up. And for drivers in the UK, you only need 12 points total before you lose your license entirely. So 3 points for something as simple as forgetting your seatbelt is a really big deal. And here is where it gets even more serious. This doesn't just apply to you as the driver. If you have a passenger in your car who isn't wearing their seatbelt, you as the driver can be held responsible. So if your friend hops in the back and decides they don't feel like strapping in, that could cost you points on your license. This is not just some distant proposal anymore. Enforcement is ramping up, and the cameras and police checks are getting more sophisticated. The message from the government could not be clearer. Buckle up every single time, no exceptions. Now let's talk about something that is directly connected to the March 2026 timeframe that has been getting a lot of attention, and that is the 26 number plates. From March 1st, 2026, all brand new cars being registered in the UK will come with a 26 plate. This happens every single year in the UK. March and September are when new number plates roll out. But what makes 2026 different is what comes with those new cars. If you buy a brand new vehicle registered from March 2026 onward, it is going to come fitted with intelligent speed assistance technology, which people are calling a speed limiter. Now, this was actually an EU rule that the UK carried over even after Brexit, and it has been rolling out gradually, but 2026 is when it becomes much more widespread. Basically, the car uses cameras and GPS to read the speed limit on whatever road you are driving on, and it actively pushes back against you when you try to exceed that limit. It is not a hard lock. You can still override it if you really press the gas, but the car will vibrate, beep at you, or physically resist your foot on the accelerator. A lot of drivers are not happy about this because it feels like the car is fighting against you, especially in situations where you might need to speed up quickly for safety reasons. But the government says it is going to save thousands of lives. Whether you love it or hate it, if you are buying a new car in March 2026 or later, this technology is going to be part of the deal. It is worth understanding how it works before you get behind the wheel of a new vehicle and wonder why it feels different. Let's switch gears, no pun intended, and talk about the cameras. Because the way the UK tracks and enforces driving laws is about to become incredibly more advanced, and this is something that genuinely catches people off guard. The police and traffic enforcement agencies across the UK are massively expanding their use of something called ANPR cameras, which stands for Automated Number Plate Recognition. These are smart cameras that can read your license plate as you drive past and instantly check it against a database to see if your car is taxed, if it has a valid MOT, if it is properly insured, and whether your registration is correct. In the past, enforcement was more random. A police officer had to manually run your plate. Now, the system is essentially automated. The cameras are everywhere, and they are getting smarter every single year. In 2026, the rollout of these cameras is accelerating, and there are also new capabilities being added to catch things like ghost plates, which are special reflective plates some people use to try to blind speed cameras. The police have specifically flagged this as a priority crackdown in 2026. If your number plate has been altered in any way, letters spaced incorrectly to spell words, tinted or darkened to look cool, or using a background pattern that is not standard, you are looking at a fine that can go up to £1,000, and the cameras will catch it. Beyond plate issues, if your car is untaxed or your MOT has lapsed, expect a fine to come through the mail or for officers to be dispatched to your location. This system does not sleep, it does not take days off, and it is watching every road it has a camera on. The safest thing you can do is make sure every single document on your car is completely up to date at all times. Now, talking about MOTs, the Ministry of Transport test that every UK car over 3 years old has to pass to stay road legal. There are some important things happening here too in 2026. The government has been discussing MOT reform for a while, and while the core structure of the test is not being completely overhauled just yet, enforcement around having a valid MOT is being tightened significantly. Because of those ANPR cameras we just talked about, driving around in a car with an expired MOT is now much riskier than it used to be. You used to be able to kind of slip through the cracks if you forgot or put it off. That window is closing fast. And on top of that, the government is looking at the MOT test itself as a place to integrate future requirements. For example, when the new electric vehicle mileage-based tax system comes in around 2028, the miles driven will actually be checked during the annual MOT. The MOT is evolving into something more than just a mechanical safety check. It is becoming a key part of how the government tracks and taxes vehicle usage. So, taking care of your MOT on time is more important than ever. Let's talk money, because this is where things get really uncomfortable for a lot of drivers. The cost of motoring in the UK in 2026 is going up across the board, and it is coming from multiple directions at once. First up is fuel duty. For the past 16 years, you read that right, 16 years, the UK government has kept fuel duty frozen. They had a special 5 pence per litre cut introduced during the cost of living crisis, and petrol and diesel have been taxed at a rate of about 52.95 pence per litre. That freeze is ending. From September 2026, the government is phasing out that 5 pence cut and beginning to let fuel duty rise again in line with inflation. So towards the end of 2026, every time you fill up your tank, you are going to be paying more than you were the month before. For people who drive a lot, whether for work or family, this is going to add up to hundreds of extra pounds per year. It is not a small change, and it is worth starting to budget for it now rather than being blindsided in the autumn. Then there is the whole situation with electric vehicles, and this one is a massive shift in how the UK thinks about EVs. For years, driving an electric car in the UK came with serious financial perks. You paid no road tax, you got discounts on the London congestion charge, and the government essentially subsidized the whole experience to try to get more people into electric cars. Those days are over, or at least they are fading fast. From April 2025, electric vehicles already started getting charged road tax for the first time, and in 2026, those charges are stepping up. Most EV owners will now be paying the standard vehicle excise duty rate of £195 per year. If your electric car had a list price of more than £40,000, you also get hit with something called the expensive car supplement, an extra £410 per year on top of the standard rate. The government did raise the threshold for that supplement from £40,000 to £50,000 specifically for EVs, so some buyers are protected, but plenty are not. And in London, from January 2026, electric cars lost their 100% exemption from the congestion charge. Instead, they get a 25% discount, meaning EV drivers are now paying £13.50 per day to drive into central London. That is still a discount compared to the full £18 a day that regular petrol and diesel cars pay. Yes, the congestion charge went up too, from £15 to £18. But for EV owners who got used to entering the zone for free, this is a big adjustment. The era of the electric car being a free ride, financially speaking, is officially over. Now let's talk about something that is getting a lot of older drivers very worried, and that is the proposed changes to eyesight requirements and medical declarations. Here is the situation as it stands right now. If you are over 70 in the UK, you have to renew your driving license every 3 years. But the way you confirm you are fit to drive is basically just by self-declaring. You fill out a form saying yes, your eyesight is fine. Yes, you have no medical conditions that would prevent you from driving safely. The system has relied on the honor system for a long time. In January 2026, the Department for Transport launched a public consultation, which basically means they are gathering opinions and data before making it law, on introducing mandatory professional eyesight tests for drivers aged 70 and over every 3 years when they renew their license. That consultation is open until March 31st, 2026. If it goes ahead and becomes law, drivers over 70 would have to go to an actual optician and pass a proper eye test as part of getting their license renewed. If they fail, they could lose their license. Separately, from January 2026, the DVLA has already started tightening up the medical declaration process for license renewals for drivers aged 65 and over. The questions are more detailed now, covering things like diabetes, epilepsy, and heart conditions in a way that they were not before. The eyesight component, specifically the ability to read a standard number plate from 20 meters away, is being emphasized more strongly. So, if you are in that age group, or you have a parent or grandparent who drives, this is something that needs to be on your radar. And honestly, even if you are young, it is a good reminder to check your eyesight regularly, because the police are also being directed to conduct more roadside eyesight tests in 2026 as part of general enforcement. The drink driving limit is another massive change that is in the works, and this one affects every single person who ever has even one drink before getting behind the wheel. Right now in England and Wales, Scotland already changed this years ago, the legal limit is 80 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood. Under the proposed changes in the 2026 Road Safety Strategy, that limit is expected to drop to 50 milligrams per 100 milliliters of blood. To put that in very plain terms, it means that even just one standard drink could potentially push some people over the legal limit. It depends on your body weight, your metabolism, what you ate, and a bunch of other factors. But the point is that the old idea of, I had one beer, I'm fine to drive, is going to become even riskier under this new threshold. Scotland made this change years ago and has seen measurable reductions in drink driving accidents. England and Wales are following suit. And paired with this, the government is also making it easier for police to prosecute drug driving offenses. New rules are being introduced that allow saliva-based roadside drug tests to be used as evidence in court without requiring a follow-up blood test every single time. This speeds up the prosecution process massively and is expected to lead to significantly more drug driving convictions. The bottom line is this: if you are getting behind the wheel, you need to be completely sober. Not probably fine, not I only had two, but completely sober. Let's talk about what is happening with driving tests. Because if you are a learner driver, or you know someone who is trying to get their license, the whole process is changing significantly in 2026. For years, there has been a massive backlog of driving tests in the UK. People were waiting months and months to get a test slot. And on top of that, shady third-party companies and even some driving instructors were gaming the system by booking multiple slots and then reselling them at inflated prices. From spring 2026, that is being shut down. The new rules say that only the actual learner driver can book and manage their own driving test. Driving instructors are no longer allowed to book tests on their students' behalf. Each learner can only change their test slot twice. After that, if they want to move it again, they have to cancel and rebook from scratch. And the test center location has to stay close to the original booking, which stops people from booking a slot in some quiet rural area with fewer candidates and then swapping it to a busy city center. These changes are genuinely designed to make the process fairer and cut the waiting times for everyone. Also changing is the actual content of the driving test itself. The independent driving section, where you follow a GPS or road signs without the examiner telling you where to go, is being extended from 10 minutes to 20 minutes. Emergency stops will be less common, appearing in roughly 1 in 7 tests rather than 1 in 3. And the theory test is being updated to include more questions about first aid, specifically around CPR and how to use an automated external defibrillator, which is that machine you see on the wall in airports and shopping centers that can restart someone's heart. The idea is that new drivers should know what to do in an emergency, not just how to parallel park. There is also big news on the digital side of driving. The UK government is in the process of rolling out digital driving licenses through something called the gov.uk wallet app. This is not fully mandatory yet. Your physical plastic card is still completely valid, but from late 2026, you will be able to store your driving license digitally on your phone and potentially use it as ID in certain situations. The government wants all paper and card credentials to have digital equivalents by 2027. The important thing to know here is that your digital record needs to stay updated. Your address, your medical information, your entitlements, all of it needs to reflect reality. If your physical card shows an old address, but you haven't updated your records with the DVLA, you could face fines or problems during police checks. This is easy to overlook, but surprisingly easy to get wrong. So take 5 minutes now to make sure your DVLA records are current. And finally, let's look ahead to November 2026, because that is when the Euro 7 emission standards come into force for all new cars and vans sold in the UK. Euro 6 has been the standard since 2015, but Euro 7 is significantly stricter. It targets harmful gases like nitrogen oxides, the stuff that contributes to air pollution and respiratory illness, as well as particulate matter, which is the fine particles that come from burning fuel. But Euro 7 goes even further than that. It also looks at pollution from your tires and your brakes, the tiny particles that get shed every time you brake or turn a corner. Manufacturers are going to be required to fit advanced monitoring systems inside vehicles to track emissions over the entire lifespan of the car, not just when it leaves the factory. This is going to change the way cars are designed and built, and it is going to push the industry even harder toward electric and hybrid vehicles. If you are in the market for a new car toward the end of 2026 and beyond, the cars you are buying will be cleaner, more monitored, and in many cases more expensive because of the technology required to meet these standards. So let's bring it all together, because this is a lot of information, and it can feel overwhelming when you hear it all at once. The UK government is making the most sweeping changes to driving laws and regulations that the country has seen in many years, and they are doing it all at the same time. Seatbelt enforcement is getting tougher and more expensive to ignore. New cars from March 2026 onward come with speed-limiting technology built in. The camera network is smarter and more widespread than ever, watching for untaxed cars, lapsed MOTs, and illegal plates. Fuel is going to get more expensive toward the end of the year. Electric vehicles are losing the tax breaks that made them so financially attractive. Older drivers face stricter medical and eyesight checks. Drink driving limits are dropping to the point where one drink might be too many. Drug driving enforcement is faster and harder to beat. The driving test is being reformed to be fairer and more realistic. Digital driving licenses are on the way, and by November, all new cars need to meet the toughest emission standards the UK has ever had. None of this is optional. None of this is a maybe. These changes are happening whether you are ready for them or not. The smartest thing you can do right now is get informed, which you have done by watching this video, and then take action. Check your seatbelt habits. Verify your car's tax, MOT, and insurance are all current. Look at your number plates and make sure they are standard and legal. If you are over 65, check your DVLA records and think about booking an eye test. If you are thinking about buying a new car, understand what the new tech in it means and how taxes on it are going to work. And if you ever drink, even one drink, please just call a cab or arrange a ride. The risk is not worth it, and with the new lower limit coming, even a small amount of alcohol puts you in dangerous territory legally. 2026 is the year UK driving gets serious. Stay informed, stay legal, and stay safe on the roads, because the rules are changing, the cameras are watching, and the penalties are bigger than ever. If you found this video helpful, make sure you share it with every driver you know, because the more people who are aware of these changes, the safer everyone on the road is going to be. Drop a comment below and let us know which of these changes surprised you the most. We will see you in the next one. Channel is for you. I break down driving law changes, fines, cameras, tests, taxes, and new rules in plain English, without the boring jargon or scare tactics. Just the stuff you actually need to know to stay legal and protect your license. I'm uploading more videos on this exact topic, including updates as these rules roll out, hidden details most people miss, and how to avoid getting caught out. So if you don't want to be blindsided by new driving laws, hit subscribe now. Think of this channel as your early warning system for UK drivers. Subscribe once, and you stay ahead of the rules every time you get behind the wheel.